Welcome back to our channel. His name is Rebel, not because he breaks the rules, not because he causes trouble, but because he survives something that would have taken down the strongest of hearts. He is a survivor, a warrior, a symbol of resilience. Rebel is a fully grown, adult male loggerhead sea turtle, majestic, ancient, and incredibly dignified. But his journey, like so many stories from the ocean's depths, is bittersweet. Rebel was found drifting near the surface of the ocean, barely able to swim, lethargic, wounded, and frightened. He bore the unmistakable scars of a boat strike, a deep, life-altering injury across his carapace and spine. The collision had fractured part of his shell and left lasting damage to his lungs and buoyancy control. It was a devastating injury, one that nature cannot always heal on its own. For sea turtle, balance and mobility mean everything. Without them, life in the wild becomes a losing battle. And yet, Rebel survived. Thanks to a group of compassionate marine rescuers, he was brought in, given immediate medical attention, and slowly began his journey of recovery. But despite the remarkable healing, it became clear that Rebel would never be able to return to the open ocean. His body, though strong, could no longer handle the challenges of survival in the wild. He couldn't dive deeply or forage effectively. The risk of him becoming stranded again, or worse, was too high. So, Rebel found a new home, Apelmanol Sanctuary, a place where he would be cared for, respected, and allowed to live out his days in peace and dignity. Here, in this sanctuary, Rebel has become a symbol of what it means to protect and nurture those who can't return where they came from. And every day, a team of marine animal care professionals makes sure Rebel gets what he needs. Not just food, safety, and health, but something more intimate, something surprisingly joyful. A bath. Yes, that's right. Rebel gets regular baths. And if you think a sea turtle can enjoy a spa day, well, Rebel would prove you wrong. The care team begins by gently entering his habitat, moving slowly, deliberately. They speak to him softly, not because he understands the words, but because kindness has a tone, and Rebel knows it. He drifts toward them with the calm confidence of someone who has done this before. Because he has, this has become a routine, a beloved one. They start by rinsing his shell with fresh, slightly warm water. This helps loosen any accumulated algae and organic matter that has clung to his carapace. In the wild, this task would typically be performed by nature itself. Cleaner fish, shrimp, and other small marine creatures nibbling away the growth that build up on sea turtle shells. But here in care, that job belongs to the humans. Armed with soft brushes and long-handled sponges, the team begins scrubbing Rebel's shell methodically, gently, thoroughly. Each motion is rhythmic and purposeful. They move in circles, making sure not to disturb the shell's natural texture, but applying just enough pressure to lift away the stubborn algae. And Rebel, he loves it. He leans into the brushes, closes his eyes for a moment, and lets out a long, slow exhale, a clear sign of relaxation in turtles. He's not just tolerating the cleaning, he's enjoying it. He is fully present. Sometimes he stretches his front flippers out, as if to say yes, right there. Other times, he floats lazily with his head tilted upward, soaking in the care and attention. The staff joke that he's the king of the sanctuary on his bath days, and he seems to know it. But this routine isn't just about making Rebel feel good, though that's certainly part of it. It's also about health. Algae, while natural, can grow thick and block sunlight from reaching the shell. Over time, It can harbor bacteria or fungi that cause irritation or even infection. In wild turtles, symbiotic relationships help keep this under control, but for turtles in human care, it's essential that caregivers take on the role of Mother Nature. The process can take up to 30 minutes. First, the top of the shell, then the sides, then underneath, though that part always gets a little splashy. Rebel, true to his name, sometimes kicks up a bit of water just to remind his handlers who's boss. But even in those moments, there's a gentleness to him, a calm appreciation. The bond between Rebel and his caregivers is one built on trust. He has been through trauma, through pain, through fear, and yet he allows these humans to touch him, to care for him, to tend to him. That is not something we should ever take for granted. Trust from a wild animal is not given freely. It is earned slowly, with patience and compassion, and in Rebel's case, it is returned in quiet moments of peace like these. There's something deeply moving about watching an ancient creature, whose ancestors have existed since the time of the dinosaurs, relax under the careful touch of a human hand. It's a moment that transcends species. It's a reminder that care is universal. The healing isn't just physical, and that every creature, no matter how wild, can know comfort. Sometimes visitors get to watch the process. They gather quietly near the viewing area and see Rebel being gently scrubbed, see his massive flippers twitch as if he's enjoying every second. Children point and smile. Adults stand in awe, and someone always asks, does he really like it? The answer is yes. Rebel's story is about more than just a bath. It's about survival. It's about second chances. It's about adapting care in a world where human actions, like boat strikes, can have devastating consequences for wildlife. But it's also about joy, because for all he has lost, Rebel has found peace. He has found people who will never stop showing up for him. And in return, he gives us something equally valuable: connection, perspective, and a privilege of witnessing a living legend find happiness in the simplest of routines. As the cleaning winds down, the team rinses off the last bits of algae, gently checks Rebel's shell for any changes or signs of wear, and then lets him float freely in his pool again. He glides off slowly, his flippers moving with the grace of someone who has lived long enough to savor quiet moments. Rebel will do this again in a few days, and he'll love it just as much. His bath isn't just maintenance. It's medicine. It's enrichment. It's part of life well lived. And perhaps, just perhaps, it's his way of telling us that while he can no longer return to the wild, he hasn't lost the wildness inside him. He's simply found a way to keep it alive. In every calm breath, every playful splash, and every brush stroke that brings him peace. This is Rebel's new chapter, not one of sadness, but of sanctuary. And every time we touch his shell, we're reminded, caring for those who cannot return home is not a burden, it's a privilege.